Rain doesn't fall in London. It attacks. It came sideways that night, cold and relentless, soaking through everything. And through it ran a girl, barefoot on wet pavement, clutching nothing but a phone with a cracked screen and a look on her face that wasn't panic. It was calculation. She wasn't running from something random. She knew exactly what was behind her, and she had decided she would rather disappear than go back. 3 years later, she was still gone. The official story was simple. Vivienne Hargrove, 22 years old, only daughter of billionaire Richard Hargrove, had vanished without a trace on the night of October 14th. There had been a search, a massive one. Helicopters, private investigators, international alerts. Richard Hargrove had spent £11 million looking for his daughter. And then, quietly, a death certificate was filed. Cause unknown. Presumed deceased. The world mourned her for a week, then forgot her name. But Vivienne was not dead. She was standing behind the counter of a small café in Bristol, wearing an apron with a coffee stain on the left sleeve, and her name tag said Sarah. She had built this life the way you build something you know might collapse. Carefully, quietly, without drawing attention to anything. She rented a room above a laundromat from an elderly woman named Pat, who never asked questions. She paid in cash. She kept her hair dark, cut short. She didn't have social media. She didn't call anyone from her old life. She existed in the margins of the world, and that was exactly where she wanted to be. Her regulars liked her. She remembered their orders, laughed at the right moments, asked about their dogs. None of them suspected anything, because Sarah never gave them a reason to look deeper. That was the point. Be forgettable. Be warm, but not memorable. Be present, but invisible. It was working. Until the Tuesday morning a man came in out of the rain and changed everything. He didn't look dangerous. He was tall, early 40s, wearing a dark coat that was damp at the shoulders. He sat at the corner table with a newspaper he didn't read and ordered a black coffee he let go cold. He had the kind of stillness that people either earned through peace or through loss. She couldn't tell which. She brought his coffee. He glanced up. "Rough morning," she said, the way she said it to everyone. You could say that. His voice was quiet, low. There was something measured about the way he spoke, like every word cost something. She left him to it. But she noticed, the way she had trained herself to notice, that his eyes moved around the room slowly. Not anxiously. Observantly. That was a different thing. Anxious people look for exits. Observant people look for details. He came back the next day, and the one after that. On the fourth day, she was carrying a tray of cups across the floor when the strap of her apron caught on a chair, and she lurched sideways. He was out of his seat before she could think, catching the tray with both hands, saving every cup. "Thank you," she said, genuinely surprised. "Reflex," he said, and almost smiled. His name was Daniel Ashworth. He told her that on the fifth day, when he finally ordered something other than black coffee. She told him her name was Sarah. He didn't ask for a last name. She appreciated that more than she could explain. He was in Bristol for work, he said. Something in finance. She didn't press. She never pressed, because pressing invited pressing back. But they talked. Small things at first. The weather, the quality of the coffee, a book she was reading that he'd read years ago. Then bigger things slowly. The way two people let each other in when they're both lonely without meaning to admit it. He made her laugh. Not the performance laugh she used with customers, but a real one that caught her off guard the first time it happened. She put her hand over her mouth like she'd done something wrong. He noticed that too. She could tell. "You don't let yourself enjoy things," he said one afternoon, not unkindly. She stiffened. "I enjoy things. You edit yourself before you feel anything." He tilted his head. "It's subtle, but it's there." She looked at him for a moment too long. "You're very observant for someone who just orders coffee. And you're very guarded for someone who seems very kind," he said. She turned away, but she was thinking about it for the rest of the shift. The weeks passed. He stayed in Bristol longer than she'd expected. His visits stretched from mornings to afternoons. They started walking after her shifts sometimes. Nothing deliberate, just two people who happened to be going the same direction along the river. He told her things. About his work, about a marriage that had ended badly, about a friendship that was the longest relationship he'd maintained with anyone. He was careful about details, the same way she was. She thought they were alike in that. She didn't think about his friendship. She didn't ask for a name. She started to feel something she hadn't let herself feel in 3 years. Safety. Not the safety of hiding, but the safety of being seen by someone and not being afraid of it. It confused her. It scared her in a completely different way. One evening by the river, he turned to her and said, "Tell me something true." "What?" "Something real. Not cafe small talk. Something that's actually you." She was quiet for a long moment. The water moved below them, gray and slow. "I used to love architecture," she said finally. "When I was younger, I would sketch buildings for hours. Whole cities, just in my notebook. I thought I'd study it one day." She paused. "I didn't." "Why not?" "My life went a different direction." The understatement of the century. "What about you?" He looked out at the water. "I had a best friend. Still do, technically. But there's something broken between us now, and neither of us has the nerve to say it out loud." He exhaled. "I miss who we used to be." She wanted to ask more, but something stopped her. That familiar instinct. Don't dig, don't get dug into. She should have listened to it. It was a small thing that started the unraveling. She was behind the counter on a slow afternoon when she laughed at something a customer said. A full laugh, head back, unguarded. She heard Daniel's voice behind her. "You laugh like someone I used to know." She turned around. He was at the door, takeaway cup in hand, and his expression had changed. Something behind his eyes had shifted, sharpened, pulled inward. "Just a passing thought," he said, and he smiled, and the moment passed. But he lingered on it. She could tell. He started paying attention differently. He watched the way she tilted her head when she was thinking, the way she tapped the counter when she was anxious, the way she said sorry before asking for anything, even small things, like it was a reflex that had been installed in her. He started arriving later, leaving earlier. She felt him withdrawing slightly, and it made something ache in her chest she didn't have a name for. Then one afternoon, he was sitting at his corner table while she was restocking cups near the back shelf. She didn't realize how close she was to him when his phone rang. She heard one word before she could step away. The name. Hargrove. He answered quietly, turning toward the window. She didn't hear the rest. She didn't need to. She set the cups down carefully, walked to the back room, shut the door, and sat on an overturned crate with her hands pressed flat against her knees. Hargrove. She had known the risk. She had known the world was not big enough to be completely certain. But she had let herself believe foolishly, dangerously, that this particular corner of it was safe. She was at the door of the back room when he pushed it open gently. They looked at each other. His face told her everything. He knew. He wasn't certain, not completely, but the pieces had assembled themselves, and he was looking at her like a man who had just opened a box he wasn't sure he wanted to open. "Say something," she whispered. "Vivienne," he said. "Stop right here." He just said her real name. Everything she built is about to collapse. In part 2, you'll see what she ran from and why her father wants her back now. And the truth changes everything. Watch part 2 now.